Good morning, everybody, and thanks for coming along. Can I just get a quick note in the chat window there if you guys can hear me? Excellent. Thanks, guys. All right. So thanks a lot for coming along this morning and in on my presentation on SAS Hot Fixes. Just some quick housekeeping before we start. Feel free to put any questions or stuff in the chat window there under the Q&A. I will try and get through all your questions at the end of the presentation. And we also have some polls in the polls area if you want to answer a couple of quick questions while we're going through the presentation. The webinar will be up on our website for you guys to view at any time after this as well as access to the slide deck that we're going through. Okay, so in this presentation, I will be speaking about SAS Hot Fixes and the importance of keeping your SAS environment patched, as well as sharing some insights on this topic from the many years that I've had supporting and maintaining SAS systems around the world. So first off, I just wanted to touch on some of the general basics of patching. This is not something specific to SAS and is dealt with every day by those people lucky enough to be managing or maintaining IT. Hardware, operating systems, networking, applications, they're all complex systems that are constantly evolving, improving, and being updated. And as with any complex system, mistakes can be made and problems can occur, and there needs to be a way to address these issues in a structured and timely way. Most organisations will already have policies and procedures in place to cater for the ongoing task of applying these patches, but sometimes companies' SAS environment miss out on being part of this process. So while IT have the core skill and ability to patch critical IT assets, such as networks and operating systems, for a lot of organisations, this skill doesn't extend to what's required to patch a SAS environment. The importance of patching is pretty much a given these days, and I've listed three of the many on the slide here. Essentially, it makes everyone's life easier and safer, both for those managing the systems as well as users. When it comes to patches from SAS, these are known as hot fixes. The primary role of a hotfix is to resolve any critical or frequently recurring problem that's been identified. These problems may have been uncovered from users contacting SAS through SAS tech support, or they might have come around from vulnerability assessments being reported for third-party components that SAS is built upon and utilises. SAS will assess these problems and then prioritise and plan how those updates make it out to customers. For problems that have a viable workaround, SAS will usually delay those updates until the next maintenance or major release. At the other end of the spectrum, a fix that has a major impact on the underlying source code of SAS will also probably be deferred until the next maintenance or major release. For problems that don't have a viable workaround and do not have a major impact on source code, SAS will develop, test, and release these as hot fixes. And if I quote from the SAS Hotfix FAQ site, developing a viable workaround to a problem is still the preferred approach over providing a hotfix. And hotfixing every problem that customers encounter is not practical. However, we do want to provide fixes that allow customers to maintain their installed production SAS system until they're reasonably able to upgrade to the next SAS release. When it comes to the process of applying a hotfix to a SAS environment, these are the general steps. First, identifying the hotfix So you might have had users raise a problem with you as the SAS admin. You've then searched the SAS support site and you've come across a SAS note that says a particular problem is fixed with a certain hotfix. Or you may have raised an issue with SAS tech support and they've then provided you with a hotfix that should resolve the issue. These are probably the two most common scenarios when SAS admins have identified a hotfix to download. The next step is to download the hotfix. For most hotfixes, this will be a single zip file ranging in size from a couple of megabytes to a few hundred megabytes, although I have seen some hotfixes that were close to a gigabyte. These are usually for the SAS web applications. While your hotfix is downloading, you will also want to take the time to read the accompanying documentation. This is going to contain any pre or post steps that need to be carried out in order for the hotfix to be applied correctly. An example of some steps that need to be carried out before a hotfix is applied is if you're installing a hotfix for the SAS web server. On Windows, you may need to install the Microsoft Visual C++ libraries from Microsoft. If you don't do this before you do that hotfix, you'll find that the SAS web server won't start for you. Actually installing or applying a SAS hotfix is usually the easy part. This involves firing up the SAS Deployment Manager, choosing the hotfix option, and then clicking next a few times. The main problem that I've seen at this point are when files are being locked that the hotfix needs to update. But if you followed the pre-documentation, you should have actually stopped all the SAS services, so it shouldn't be a problem. After the hotfix is installed, you then need to check the documentation again to see if there are any post-install steps. If you just hotfixed one of your web applications, for example, this will usually involve rebuilding and then redeploying that web application. And lastly, once all that is done and everything has been restarted, you will want to run some quick validation tests to make sure everything is up and running again. Hotfixes are being released all the time from SAS, so how do you keep on top of them? If you want to be informed when new hotfixes are released, you can subscribe by email to the new hotfix SAS community, or you could even hook up an RSS feed to that site. Chris Hemmerdinger has an article on the SAS community's website that explains your options here. I've included a link in the slide to both Chris's article as well as the SAS community that's been set up specifically to track new hotfixes. Now, this has to probably be the most asked question when discussing SAS hotfixes. How often should I apply them? Well, the answer is there is no one answer. Just like the patching done by IT, the answer for you is going to depend on a lot of things. Now, there was a paper presented back in 2012 at the SAS Global Forum called Zen in the Art of SAS 9 Maintenance, and this has a bit of background on that question. And in that paper, it suggests a number of factors that can influence the decision, such as if you have any corporate policies around software updates, so you may have a change process that needs to be followed for any updates that happen, the size of the SAS user community that you have. So if you've only got a couple of users, that process is going to be a lot different than if you've got a couple of hundred users. It also could depend on the collection and combination of SAS products that you've got and that you use together. And of course, any issues that are being reported by your users will also be a factor. When recommending hotfix schedules to customers, we take these and a lot more into consideration. And there are also two levels of hotfixes to consider. We have normal hotfixes and alert hotfixes. Alert hotfixes are very important and they address critical problems such as security vulnerabilities. So one option may be to only consider these when applying your hotfixes. And you may want to then wait until the next maintenance is released from SAS that will contain all the other hotfixes and apply them at that point in time. For customers that we provide SAS administration services for, we would usually follow one of the first two options here. So either apply all the hotfixes every month or apply alert hotfixes every week, followed by all the other hotfixes on a monthly cycle. As a service provider, managing many SAS customers, this kind of schedule reduces our risk because it means we are preemptively keeping the environments patched and we're supporting systems that are all at the same patch level. So far, I've spoken about SAS hotfixes as individual things, but in reality, there are usually multiple hotfixes available that will need to be applied at the same time. Even by keeping on top of the hotfixes being released by SAS, either by email or RSS feed, you, as the SAS admin, will still need to know exactly what software has been installed in your environment and what version, and then compare that to the list of hotfixes that are being released so that you can ascertain whether each one's applicable to you or not. As you can imagine, that can be a major pain to do manually. And so SAS have come up with the SAS HFV DD Tool, or the SAS Hotfix Analysis Download and Deployment Tool, to help automate things. While this tool doesn't completely automate installing the hotfixes, it does automate the generation of a list of hotfixes that are specific to your environment. And it does this by integrating with the SAS Deployment Registry that's part of your environment. So the SAS HFV DD tool will use this list to work out exactly what's on your environment and then go and search all the available hotfixes and their patch levels and things to work out exactly what's applicable to your specific system. It also provides you with a nice HTML report of what those hotfixes that are available are, as well as some FTP scripts to make downloading those hotfixes a lot easier. So instead of downloading them one at a time, it will generate these scripts for you so that you can just run the script and it'll download them all in the one process. And the SAS HFV DD tool can be downloaded from the SAS support website. Now at Celerity, we install the SAS HFV DD tool into the SAS home directory. You don't have to do this, but this is what we do. As I mentioned before, the tool needs to read the SAS Deployment Registry in order to work out what hotfixes are available to you. Unfortunately, it can't read the raw SAS Deployment Registry, so you need to run a quick Java program to generate a text version of that so that it can use it. Since we install the SAS HFV DD tool to the SAS home directory, it makes it easier for us to then utilize the SAS private JRE to do this. What we do is we open a command prompt as administrator on Windows, change into the SAS HFV DD directory, and then invoke the Java program that creates the text registry, as you can see from that command that we have on the slide there. So this process actually creates two files. It creates a deployment registry as text and a deployment registry as a HTML file, and it'll put them in whatever your current directory is. So in this case, we're in the HFV DD tool directory. Once we've done that, we simply run the SAS HFV DD tool, which is again, it's a command line tool, and respond to the prompts. So it'll ask you if you want to name this particular analysis anything, or usually we just hit enter and take the defaults. Once it's finished running, we can then view the HTML analysis report and see what hotfixes are available specifically for us. We're big fans of monitoring and automation here at Celerity, and as a best practice, we always recommend to customers to automate the hotfix checking process. The way that we've done this internally and also apply to the environments we manage is we wrap the SAS HFV DD tool in a script that can then be run on a regular schedule. And we write that script wrapper in such a way that it can report back to us how many hot fixes it has found. We can then feed that into our monitoring tools and then monitor that returned number of hot fixes and set up appropriate triggers for any follow-on processes based on the number of hot fixes that it detects. Another best practice that we recommend is that the triggers for these follow-on processes are worked out and documented. For example, having 5 normal hot fixes become available may be okay, but as soon as one alert hot fix is available, you may want to schedule an out-of-band update window to go ahead and process that hot fix. Another rule that you may want to consider could be based on what product that the hot fix is for. So a hot fix for SAS Stat may be crucial if you've got a team of actuaries, even if it isn't an alert level hot fix. If you're in an organisation where the software on your client PCs are managed centrally by OT, and the hot fix you are looking for requires both the SAS server and the client to be patched in order to it to be fully functional, you may also need to come up with a procedure for that as well. As I mentioned earlier, in 99% of cases, hotfix will be installed using the SAS Deployment Manager. This tool looks after a number of functions to manage your SAS environment, such as updating passwords and renewing your SAS license, as well as applying the hotfixes. Now, if you've used the SAS HFV DD tool to generate the download scripts and then run those download scripts for the hotfixes, all those downloaded hotfixes are going to be in a single deployment directory under the SAS HFV DD tool. And what you would do here, after you click Next on applying SAS hotfixes, the Deployment Manager is going to ask you the directory where all these hotfixes are. So you just plug in that directory and click the Next button, and that's pretty much it. You click the Next button 3 more times and you're done installing your hotfixes. Now, what we see here is a screen grab of the HTML analysis report that comes out of the SAS HFV DD tool. And when it comes to the complexity of installing a hotfix, as I mentioned, for the most part, it is as easy as clicking Next, Next, Next. And if you see a list of hotfixes like this in the analysis report, then these are the easy ones. So there's no little footers or please see here or asterisks against these hotfix entries. So these are the straightforward ones that where you can just click Next, 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 and it should be done. Now, if you see any hotfixes with a yellow highlighted D, this means that you definitely need to read the documentation to check if there are any pre or post steps that need to be done in order for the hotfix to be successfully applied. In this case, I can see that this hotfix is for the SAS portal, and I'd be pretty confident that the documentation is going to say that we need to rebuild and redeploy the SAS portal web app after the hotfix is installed so that the hotfix is actually fully applied. Then there are these hotfixes. So these are listed at the bottom of the analysis report. These are the hotfixes that need special attention because they don't fit the standard mold of how hotfixes are applied, and you need to read the documentation carefully. Again, from experience, I can see that first one there, the data flux hotfix. Data flux hotfixes are always going to appear in this bottom bit because they always follow a different strategy for applying hotfixes. And it's usually a matter of manually downloading a zip file and then just unzipping that zip file over the top of your existing installation, where it just overwrites the files straight away. I can also see the SAS Secure hotfix that's listed here. Again, this is a special case where you might notice that there's no download link. So you actually have to contact SAS Tech Support and specifically ask them to send you the download link for that hotfix. Another best practice that we recommend is, after you've finished deploying all your hotfixes, is to go ahead and run the SAS HFV DD tool again, just double check. Now, if all the hotfixes have been applied and everything has been successful, you should see this bright green section towards the top of the report, which says that your system is currently up to date. Now, here's just a quick example of how we monitor some of our customer environments at Celerity. And you can see at the top right-hand side there, we have two counts. We've got an orange 56 and a red 4. So this is 56 is the total number of hotfixes that are available for this server, and 4 is the number of those hotfixes which are at an alert level according to SAS. Now, we've actually paused our remediation automations that we have going so that we can get these numbers to be this high for us. So I can take this screenshot. So following our own best practice, what we've done is we've wrapped the SAS HFV DD tool in a process that runs every night, and it identifies all the hotfixes available and feeds the number of total hotfixes and the number of alert level hotfixes back into our system so that we can then monitor it like this. Now, we've also had customers that wanted us to make that hotfix check process a bit easier for them. Now, that might have been because it's been difficult to get full access to their SAS server, or it could be that they have issues running the Java command in order to produce the deployment registry report, which is needed to then feed in to the SAS HFV DD tool. So as a result of that, we've created this free SAS hotfix analysis service. So this is a free service where you can upload your raw deployment registry file, so you don't need to run that Java command first, or you can run that Java command and then upload the deployment registry text file that comes out. So you can upload that file and then have our system generate the list of hotfixes that are available for you from us. Now, you will need to sign into this site with Google, LinkedIn, Windows Live or Facebook, but that's primarily so that we know you're a real person and we have a valid email address for you. So after you upload your deployment registry and then click the Go button, our system will go ahead and process that information through the SAS HFV DD tool and then show you a summary of what we've found. And it'll also give you links for you to grab the HTML analysis report, and if you've ticked the tick box to give you the list of hotfixes as well, you'll have a link to that as well, so you can see what hotfixes have already been applied to your system. And this is the output you would then see if you clicked on the button to show you the analysis report. So exactly as if you had run the SAS HFV DD tool yourself, it's the same report, which you can then save. It has all the download links and all the links to the documentation and stuff for you to then take action on. And if you've selected to choose this report as well, clicking on the installed SAS software hotfix button will give you a report similar to this. And so this output is quite handy to keep on record, as it will show you every hotfix that has been applied to your system. Okay, so that was a quick run through of SAS Hot Fixes and how we deal with applying hot fixes and managing that for our customers, as well as just a quick overview of the free service that we provide, where you can go and find out the hot fixes for yourself. So just going to check now for if you guys have any questions. If you can ask a question in the Q&A section, that would be good. So I have a question here. Does the hotfix have a backup plan in case it causes other unwanted issues? So the backup plan for a hotfix is there is no easy automated way to back out of a hotfix in case it goes bad. So ideally, you would have taken a backup of your system before you apply the hotfixes. Although every hotfix will also give you a log of exactly what files were modified, and it will also back up all the original files. So you can manually revert in case there are any issues. Do we have any other questions? Okay, we have another question. When running a client application, should the user apply all the updates that are prompted? So if you're running Enterprise Guide or the add-in for Microsoft Office, these applications will actually prompt you every now and then because they will automatically check with SAS to see if there are any updates available for them. So those two applications, it is quite safe, and it's what we recommend to apply those updates as they come in or as you're notified from them from a client perspective. Now, in some corporate environments, you may not have permissions to actually apply that update, so that can be quite annoying because you will be prompted for the update. You might go through the download process, but then when it comes to apply the update, you get denied because you're not a local admin. So if you have the capability, then yes, we recommend that you do apply them as they're prompted. Otherwise, it's going to be up to your IT to coordinate a rollout of those updates through their systems. Okay, so we have no other questions. So thanks a lot, everybody, for joining me today for this quick webinar on SAS Hot Fixes. As I mentioned at the beginning, we will have a recording of this up very shortly for you guys to review if you like. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email them through to me and I will answer them as best I can. Again, thank you everybody for joining me and have a good day.